All right, guys, we should be back. We should be live. Had a bit of a hiccup there.
Rip XSplit.
Fortunately, we weren't in a game or anything like that.
Yeah, that's true.
And sometimes when you switch scenes rapidly, it angers the XSplit gods and it just rips it on you. But the draft is, in fact, underway during that crash, so no breaks here for this tournament. Going to be pushing on forward, and we can see the Kerrigan and Tassadar were the initial bans, and Kubi, why don't you run us through the rest of the draft?
I'm trying to wade my way through the shenanigans from both these teams here.
Oh, they're chatting away, huh?
Actually, maybe Kerrigan wasn't the... Oh, sorry. Okay, I gave you some bad information here. It was
are
actually
the worst.
Tassadar, Stitches banned, Kerrigan first pick.
I see.
Yep.
Rip Kubi.
Yep. You guys can blame me entirely for that one there.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Pretty standard. Okay, and then I think it's a Tychus Nazebo for picks 2 and 3 on Barrel Boys' side. And then an Arthas Vala follow-up. Okay, that catches us up to speed here.
Oh,
so
speed.
Kerrigan Arthas, that's, immediately I'm going to look at those two as part of a combo for Roman Gank very early on.
Yep.
Something very strong. It's been strong. It might be like one of the earliest and longest lasting combos in the game. That's like day one stuff that we used to see all the time. Those two heroes they've always had Envenom. Their kit hasn't changed at all since the game was instated, so that's going to be a strong combo, and it will continue to be a strong combo, so that's why we still see teams picking it up and prioritizing it.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite powerful, that's for sure. Notice our lobby is showing the same heroes in both teams, and that's very confusing. We're seeing Nazebo in both teams.
Things got messed up for... that's okay. We'll talk you guys through it.
They just happen to be sitting on them right now. It's just a bit confusing.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, they just.
I
both
thought
teams.
I thought we got
no,
teams.
it's
okay.
not. It's not an error on our part. It's just the teams are just kind of.
And then
sitting.
Barrel Boys is going for the Uther,
ETC, etc.
Yes. Barrel. I mean, hey, they ran ETC last game. Worked pretty well for them. Why not run it again?
I mean, I'm really excited to see ETC picking up a lot of pace. I remember a while back. This was a good amount of time ago. Trixler was actually kind of just saying, look, no, ETC is really good. People just don't understand him yet. And he just kept saying, he's like, people just have to give ETC a chance. And you know what? He was right. And we're seeing the power of ETC ever since this patch, really, he's becoming more and more popular. And
it's something that you can expect to see once the Resurgence was pulled out. It puts a lot of stress on the Warrior pool to the point where it's like, okay, yeah, Stitches is banned out very often. Arthas is going to be a pickup, and then you're left with this pool of Warriors that, Chen used to fill this slot, and then he was nerfed in the last patch. And Nubarak used to fill this slot. These heroes aren't as popular anymore, so it does put a little bit of stress on the Warrior pool, and we're seeing some teams mess around with these weird heroes. ETC, Tyrael wasn't as popular. He's getting more play time, so it's cool to see. It's breathing a little bit of life into the Warrior meta. It's fun to see.
It is very exciting to see here. Now we see Falstad and Brightwing, our winged friends here, joining the team of Cloud9. Now that gives the option of double bribe. We're playing on the Sky Temple.
Double global mobility there.
Which is huge. That's the bigger story.
Yeah.
The global presence. And that's actually something that ETC provides as well. Now, ETC, of course, on the other side.
Yes.
But if they do opt to go with Stage Dive, which, honestly, I mean, it could go either way. But that can provide, exactly what you need. But they could go for Zero Tool at this point in the draft.
Yeah,
they could go for Zero Tool, set up for dances, and have these crazy Ravenous Spirit setups.
Yeah, I mean, we're at the point where Barrel Boys needs to pick up another damage dealer, and the damage pool is sort of stressed at this point. So you're looking at some, less damaging, more utility type ranged assassins. So yeah, like you said, Zero Tool's possibility there. I would say maybe Hammer fits into this role, but you need the mobility on this map. She's good at sieging up small areas, so you know where you're going to be fighting, but the mobility could definitely hurt, so it wouldn't surprise me to see her not picked up here. Other options... I mean, heck, we've seen Rainer Grounds in this situation.
Yeah,
so.
and there's Zero Tool. Okay, so that makes perfect sense. No surprise there. They're going to go for those setups with the Void Prison. I mean, it's a very, very terrifying setup if they can get a big VP. If you clump up for 1 second, they're going to throw it down at 3 or 4 members, set up for a big dance. We're going to see that mosh pit go down, and then the Ravenous Spirit's just going to ruin your day. So this is something that they really have to watch out for.
Yeah, I mean, we saw them running this in that game 3 that Zoya and Shane were casting the Void Prison into
on Blackheart's.
Yeah, the big red button.
We saw that
into the Uther.
Right into a victory.
So that's what won them the game, that exact combo. So they're obviously comfortable running this type of composition between these 3 heroes at least. So we'll have to see if it pans out for them in the same way this game.
Well, Sky Temple is going to be our map here for game number 2. Barrel Boys are in a 1-0 advantage right now going in. This is match point for them. If they manage to win this, they are in the money for the grand finals.
Yes, they are. They're going to be going up against Tempo Storm, but hey, let's not jump ahead of ourselves here. You know, Cloud9 Vortex, they can still do this, of course, and this is going to Sky Temple. This is their map. This is their training grounds. They like this place. All right, let's get into this. Let's introduce the blue team here for Cloud9 Vortex. We have C9 Sheth playing Brightwing. Rarjar is going to be on Vala. Bobby Hank Hill on Arthas. K1 Pro is going to be playing Falstad. And rounding it out, we have iDream on Kerrigan.
And on the other side of the map, we do have Barrel Boys, who are presently up 1-0. McIntyre will be playing as Tychus. Trummel will be on Nazebo. Blinks on Uther. We see Zeratul being played by Fan. And Mr. Fury on the Cow. The ETC, the Elite Tauren Chieftain. This is like some farm action. Goats and cows. Oh my.
Not giving you that one. Nope. Hey, you called it though. Double Bride picked up. You mentioned that whenever we saw Brightwing and Falstad on the same team, so that's something to consider. And Merc pressure on this map, it's no joke. It's very good, so I can absolutely understand why they would go for that. Although it is kind of a standard pick for Brightwing, Falstad has some options there with Power Throw and maybe even Seasons Marksman if he wants to do that. So yeah, it's going to be something that Barrel Boys needs to think about moving forward here.
Yeah, well, we see Fan looking around. You mentioned the Double Bribe. We can look at the other talents available, but it looks like pretty standard stuff across the board. Again, we're seeing that block on ETC, and, you know, both teams just making sure they soak properly. Now, it looks like it's going to be Brightwing sitting in the bottom lane here with the ETC, and, of course, Brightwing has that global presence to just phase shift on up to the middle and top temples when they do spawn.
Absolutely. Which is, I think, is starting at minute 30. But, I mean, another thing I want to talk about real quick before these temples do pop up, and Trummel is in a bit of trouble!
And he does lose his life, so that's first blood, but Bobby Hank Hill taking a lot of damage. There are no heals here, but we see iDream healing properly for them. So they trade out a lot of damage, forcing them to tap the wells here into these first temple spawns.
Yes. And the other important thing to talk about is that watchtower that happens to be in mid lane here. We saw that Cloud9 Vortex, they got control of it really early, and this one's actually more important than any other map. It gives you full vision of the area just about surrounding that mid temple there, which is important to know. So Vala can sit on there for free, basically, and she can see that ETC coming up to contest it, so she stays pretty safe. It's really important to have that vision.
Chef is soaking that bottom lane as his presence is not needed, and once it's needed, he will phase shift on up. That's going to give them a constant edge. We see he's on his way up here now in the rotation. 5 members all here in this middle shrine, or middle temple, and they're just back
that got scary real fast for Barrel Boys. They're like, whoa, okay, 5 people here. We're backing up. Hey, it's fine.
They properly don't fight for it. They say, look, we don't like any of this. We're leaving.
And they have control of the top shrine, so it's going to be up to Cloud9 Vortex here to decide, do we keep a lot of presence here on this bottom one? Do we rotate up to try and take this fight? They're going to have 5 people up there, so this is what sort of leads teams to kind of just trade out the temples, especially when there's 2 present on the map. That's not going to be the case for the next one, which spawns only in the bottom. And that one is like, it's kind of a death trap. There's some small funnel points going into it, so if you start to see the teams sort of shift their general presence down to the mid and bottom lanes, that's why. They're trying to get the leg up on the positioning for this next temple popping up.
But Cloud9, they're out soaking. They have these global heroes, and they're making their way down to the bottom lane, and they're just making sure to get that additional soak. So good on them for doing that here. We can see that, you know, slightly behind inexperience in that quest to level 7 can provide an advantageous position depending on the scenario.
Yeah, I mean, at the very least, you have Cleanse. That's important for those healers. Provides that CC immunity for 1 second. So obviously a very highly sought after talent. And all right, I think that the quest for the soak is real. Both teams playing a bit passively here. They're scouting out the boss. I can't imagine that any of the teams would be posturing to take that at this point with no advantage. iDream taking a little bit of damage, but just kind of pushing him back.
Yeah, Trummel nicely, dodged the combo there out of Kerrigan. And we see the level 7, just battle momentum, battle momentum. We have the boomerang here, boomerang, if you will, rune tap and cleanse for Brightwing. Knowing Chef, he'll likely go blink heal, but it's definitely not out of the question for him to grab Emerald Wind. And on the other side, well, we're going to see cleanse out of Uther as well.
Yes, absolutely. And the reset on the auto attack for ETC, that's just pretty standard him from just to boost up that damage output. We do have the Mule. That's another thing that we always forget to talk about on this map.
That's true.
It's more effective on this map than any other map, even Blackheart's Bay.
Hands down.
Those shots that come out of the temple there, it's not an AoE that's hitting the structures, so even if a Mule's sitting there, it can still provide quite a bit of damage reduction to that temple that's under siege from, or sorry, to the fort that's under siege from the temple.
Now this bottom temple is spawning. It's the one and only temple here. One level advantage here for Vortex, but there's no heroics here. So in terms of talents, they're on even footing.
Yeah, and big positional advantage for Vortex. They're already in. You guys can see that choke point through the grass. Like, that's a big deal. And the dive is going to be real. Here it comes.
Blink is going to be surprised here by Arthas. iDream continuing to hide his position. That's
just staring at the wall.
Yeah, it's just like...
He was putting time out. Bad iDream. Go to the corner.
Oh, this looks like they're just giving it up. They're actually just abandoning. They're going up to that top lane, and they're going to just try to take out that top fort. Actually, no, they're just kind of rotating around, making sure they soak the map right now.
Yeah, they're continuing. They are quite a bit behind in terms of experience, and Cloud9 Vortex is about to hit level 10. Just going to give them a nice power spike. They're going to hit those heroics, and I would probably expect to see Blink Heal on Brightwing, probably Strafe, Army of the Dead,
Here's Army.
Hintone's Blast,
Hintone's
and
Blast, Strafe.
Maelstrom.
Yep.
That's my guess. Let's see.
Let's see. Blink Heal, I'd
Two
agree
more.
with.
Yep.
There
One
it
more.
is.
Oh, it's Ultralisk!
You lose.
iDream's just trying to make me look bad. Okay.
No lottery for you. Now this Mule, look at the health on this.
Yeah.
It got to unload almost entirely. In this Mule, I mean, they're protecting it. That's why they're down here.
Sure.
They're making sure this bottom fort doesn't fall because that's experience, and they want to get the use out of this talent because the longer the Mule sits there, obviously, the more it does. I mean, the more it sustains. And that's the name of the game with this. Now, McIntyre gets picked off there, and that is not what they want to have happen, but they do hit level 10.
Did the Odin go on cooldown?
It did.
Oh, that's that weird glitch. Okay, so if you could see that the Odin popped up, but they like this. I'm not sure what the timing of it is, but if you kill the Tychus like as like some part of the startup of Odin, yeah, not even. I guess it is as it's building. I thought he had some iframes as his health bar built up, but more or less he just wasted the cooldown for his Odin, unfortunately, and died in the process.
Didn't get the health bar. He
didn't get anything out of that. So
it's kind of like interrupting a heroic, and that does happen to some other heroics in the game, but it's very unfortunate either way.
Yeah, it's a rare thing to see. It doesn't happen all that often, but it's really unfortunate for McIntyre. The death is one thing, but losing the cooldown on that Odin is a big deal.
Well, we can see, I mean, they're trying to defend this top lane here. The Mule has done its job
Look at that.
And, you know, right now, I mean, we just see Fury just kind of hanging out here, making sure that nothing cheeky's happening around the boss and making sure he soaks that bottom lane. Watchtower really trading hands to Cloud9 Vortex, and right now Vortex is sitting in a really good position.
Yep, they're getting that soaked. They're just about a half level off getting that next talent tier at 13. Now, you'll notice that none of the teams are opting to go for that boss. It is very scary on this map. It's close corridors. The boss has like a whirlwind spell that comes up that pushes people around. There's no way to, interrupts channels and everything. The stun almost covers the space between the two walls there, and it's basically a throw pit. We've seen a lot of teams attempt to take it when they don't have a huge advantage, and some lose games for it. So you got to make sure that you know you have the advantage to grab it.
Kerrigan hiding in the bush there, trying to blow Fan up, but Uther is there, and the Blink is there as well. We see that Cloud9 is going to be grabbing this middle temple, and currently ETC is all alone at the bottom temple holding that, but Trummel is keeping these Giants from reaching that bottom fort.
Wow, look at this. Okay, so Cloud9 Vortex had control of the middle shrine, and now they're opting to fully rotate down. ETC did have a presence down here, and they could have used that to their advantage, but now it's Cloud9 Vortex, and Barrel Boy's just going to swap places? Yeah.
Vortex is just kind of like
funny.
Keeping the chase on here, and they're going to leave right wing here to soak, and they're making their way back to that middle one, and they're presently controlling both.
Yeah, wow, look, I think they're assuming...
Vortex is afraid.
They should know it's a 5v4 situation, though. They can see that the bottom shrine has been... Well, of course, Brightwing has... Yeah, she can phase shift up here, right.
I mean, they're worried about it. Now, Army of the Dead has been popped, and this is actually being used to zone them out during the duration of this temple. We can see almost all of its shots have been expended at this point in time, and they'll be rotating down to chase again. What a, magical chairs.
Magical chairs.
Magical chairs. Magical temple chairs.
Yeah, we can see that K1 Pro is kind of poking in here.
Ultralisk is used, and that'll
zone.
They're using them to zone. Yeah, they're using Heroics to zone. They can blow this Ultra up. The Void Prison is used. Can they set up for the dance? Doesn't look like it. This Ultra is being a big annoyance. One more hit should take care of it, but their focus is not there. The Hinterland Blast hitting so many targets, doing so much damage, and this is just looking really bad right now for Barrel Boys. Vortex wants this win, and they want to bring it to game 3, but it's not over yet.
There was nothing to fight over. Trumbull's going to go down to that nice combo from Kerrigan there. The Temple had already expelled all of its shots. There was absolutely no need to really go in there, unfortunately. So they lost the Temple, and they lost a lot of kills too. And now they're losing their Giants on their side of the map. So even still, you're not going to see, even though Cloud9 Vortex has a pretty big advantage here, they're still not going to go for that boss. It's just too scary. They're going to go up. They're going to continue to soak. They want to try to get that head start getting up to level 16 where they get that power spike.
I mean, yeah, that talent advantage. I mean, they have a level advantage, but the talent advantage is huge. And once they get that, I mean, it's going to be so difficult for Barrel Boys to get anything done. With this map, the Mule is helping them stay in relatively well. I mean, they've only lost 2 forts. This top fort has managed to stay alive, even though they're getting wrecked in the temples. But that's the power of Mule on Sky Temple.
Yeah, it really is good. But I mean, Vortex is saying we don't need it. I mean, so far, I mean, you can't really say that the trade-off of just not taking Mule is giving them the game or the map presence, but I mean, they're feeling confident about the situation at the very least. So
they get those Giants before.
Wow, look at that play!
Seal. Yeah, that was actually incredibly close. And
they had no vision of the area. I mean, who knows what he was jumping into from iDream's perspective.
No fear, no fear. They're putting the fear of death into the enemy teams, right?
Yeah, and they're going to put on some pressure. Vortexes on this top lane here. They're trying to get this fort. And this is, I mean, it seems like it's kind of unnecessary at this point. Like, why not try to push down a keep lane? But it's really just to give extra effectiveness out of the next set of temples. It's going to be popping up in 25 seconds.
And level 16, of course, is here. So that means Criterize, Blood for Blood, Stone Skin, Overdrive, and Blood for Blood. That's a
cookie cutter talents at level 16, but it's a nice power spike, especially the survivability for Vala, Kerrigan, and Arthas, of course. And then you got that extra burst damage coming out of Falstad with that Hinterland's Blast, with that gathering power. I mean, he's got full stacks at this point, so he hits hard with that Hinterland's Blast.
It looks like they don't want to leave this, even though they don't have the talents. If you see Odin being used, they're fighting for this temple. They want it bad. Kerrigan taking a lot of damage. iDream does fall very quickly. You know, there's so much damage going on both sides. We do have Hinterland Blast still available. Blinks is getting blown up rather quick. The heals are there. The Hinterland Blast hitting 3 members there. Blinks is going into the back line. He uses Sprint. We see that Zeratul has fallen 1 for 1 at this point in time. Curse Fury, got to stay healed up. Blinks is just trying to stay in the back line, but Vala and Falstad have caught wind of this, and they're making their ways on in. McIntyre, Odin has been used. All 5 heroics
they can't sustain.
No, they just can't live through this.
They really wanted to keep control of this temple, and unfortunately, oh wow, Rajar uses the invincibility on the vault there to get through that grenade toss, and she secures the kill. It's really nicely played there, and kind of a cheeky play at start. They started off the team fight really well. They got a dance down on Kerrigan. They were able to eliminate her, and just the positioning from that point forward, C9 Vortex was able to take a pretty good advantage in that team fight, and now they can take the boss. Now it's okay. They had to basically get an ace on the other team to take this boss. That's how scary it is. A lot of the teams recognize it. They've seen too many games where teams fall just trying to hopefully sneak this in when the other team isn't looking, but it's just so scary.
And they should just move over to these Giants here. The enemy team is going to have to defend that boss, and this gives them complete map control for a while. Now, the temples shouldn't be spawning all that soon, but we can check the timers here on all the merc camps. Over a minute, over a minute.
Yeah, they're just going to push really hard down this bottom lane here. They're going to try to get themselves a keep.
Yeah, there's no objective on the map for them, really. So, I mean, getting any aggression across the map is what they want. We see them grouping up here.
Oh, they're going to go for a split push, actually.
Yeah. I like the call.
I'm not sure if it's going to be... I guess it really comes down to they just don't want to fight on that bridge. I mean, it gets kind of scary, too. Any structure damage they do at this point is going to make the next set of temples even more effective, so I can understand this. So we're going to see Barrel Boys going to rotate up to try and nullify as much as they can for this.
Yeah, they're just going to take the wall out and back on up. And, you know, we see the aggression going into Bobby Hank Kill and Curse Fury, you know, pushing forward. Going to have to back up here.
Yeah. And we did hit level 16 during all of that for Barrel Boys. We do see double Stone Skin for ETC, and Tygus, of course, double bombs on Zeratul. That's going to give them that extra spike. Oh, spike damage on Singularity Spike. I can't stop. Specialized Toxin on the Zemo. That's the extra auto attack damage onto Heroics.
But Imposing Presence, how do you feel about that?
And Imposing Presence. Over Hardened Focus. It's okay. I mean, it's not really the strongest tier for Uther, so
Yeah.
I'm okay with either. I mean, there's not really any super heavy auto attackers.
Well, we see Army of the Dead used very early here by Bobby Hankill. That's going to force some aggression on. We see Barrel Boys trying to maintain this middle temple here, but it hasn't even spawned yet. So, I mean, that's one heroic down, and the other heroic's almost up here. We see Blink Kill is... Oh, that's okay. Blink Kill's a very short cooldown.
Yeah.
But we do have 5 heroics, 2-4. Odin being used in the back line. He's going to have to walk on in.
Ooh,
Void
the
Prison
VP.
is there, so we need the dance set up. We see the zombie wall going down.
There it
but
is.
the polymorph is a risk to that dance. We see the poly going off there, stunning that dance out very quickly. The Hinterland Blast does a ton of damage, but the Arthas falls very quickly because he doesn't have souls. The ghouls to summon it there. ETC is going to end up falling, so that's a 2-for-1 in favor of Vortex at this point in time. And, you know, he knew Brightwing. He knew Brightwing wasn't in that dance, but he used it anyways. And
yeah, I mean, it's more of like even if we can stun them out for like half a second, it's worth it. ETC is still pretty good without his, his heroic. He has a very nice base kit, etc. And he's good at body blocking, being a tank, doing that role. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's something you definitely want to prioritize, trying to get that Kerrigan and Brightwing into that situation. So.
Wow, the phase shift and then the poly and
Yeah.
then just the blow up there on McIntyre. I mean, what do? They have this constant presence with False Head Brightwing.
Right.
You think you have the advantage? Just kidding.
Yep. Fly on up there, and yeah, they secured that kill. There's going to be quite a bit of siege from this temple going down onto that top lane there, and it shouldn't be a keep. I don't know how many. No, it has quite a few shots left. It actually might be. It's going to be close.
Yeah, that's a lot of ammo.
Yeah.
I think that keep is going to end up
Oh,
falling
yeah, definitely.
here. And the Knights are picked up. They're making their way down to these bottom siege giants here.
How many bribe stacks does Brightwing have? She might actually be able to rotate over when she's done holding that top temple and actually just take out the offensive giants too. That'd be a pretty big play. And that would give them a really solid push going down the bottom lane there.
Yeah, I mean, they managed to pick up these bruisers, but like you said, yeah, these offensive siege camp, I mean, they're waiting. They're in the bushes. Bobby Hinkill's there to zone. If they walk in, we're going to see an initiation that the Howling Blast should go off, and iDream will just leap on over and secure the... they're not capping.
Yeah, they don't want to show too early where they are. Or they just want to sync up the position that the Giants are in. They don't want one step pushing ahead of the other.
They want them to go into that bush. They're trying to bait them in, and they're not falling for the trap. Barrel Boys is aware of the shenanigans here of Vortex.
Yeah, it's probably a little bit of both. They wanted to try to make sure that the Giants were pushing together, and they also didn't want to give up their position as well. So,
look at this. Oh, they're reunited. So cute.
Yeah.
You're right.
Pack of Giants.
Pack O Giants.
Yep. And they can get some real scary push here. And actually, now that we mentioned it, we have level 20 for Cloud9 Vortex here. We do have Call of the Wild Hammer.
Call of the Wild Hammer.
That's extra damage and a little bit more range on that Hinterland's Blast there. Double Blink coming for Kerrigan here in Vala.
This is
Storm
brutal.
Shield.
I was so attached to these giants.
Apparently Vortex wasn't.
Apparently
They didn't care
not.
very much.
They wanted nothing of that. So yeah, I mean, these level 20 talents make a big difference in the team fights here, and they are 2 levels away for Barrel Boys before they hit 20, and that's a hike.
Some time. Yeah, it's
that's
going to take a while to get there. So not huge power spikes with the exception of Falstad getting the extra damage on his Hinterland's Blast, but everything else is more mobility. It's going to be even harder to catch these guys out of position. They have the extra sustain in the team fights with Arthas and Brightwing picking up those level 20 talents too.
Yeah, only one fort has fallen here for Vortex, so structurally they have a massive advantage at this point in the game, and that is the name of the game with Heroes of the Storm, especially here on Sky Temple.
Yes, absolutely.
We see Bobby Hankill using Army of the Dead. The Hinterland Blast does not actually manage to hit Trumbull there, so Trumbull will live to see another day. A nice dance getting both Shep and iDream, but Curse Fury is getting so low. He's trying to back up here. The heals from Blinks, are they enough? No, Blinks, good night, my sweet Prince McIntyre. You're going to be saying goodbye as well. Trumbull, you're going to barely get out of here, but this is not looking good.
Yeah.
With 2 shrines spawning, I mean, do they fly back? Yeah, I think they're just going to opt for the safe play. No, they want to put the pressure on.
I mean, they're going to have map control for another 30 seconds, so they can choose to just kill. They have a lot of plays they can make here. They can get aggressive, take both of these keeps, and then just. But all it takes is one temple to kill the core.
Yeah,
right? So if they just kill this keep and sit on one of the temples, they
False Type can fly, and then Brightwing can phase shift onto False Type,
Yeah.
and they can trade out towers, and yeah, maybe that's what we'll see.
I mean, they have the mule, but that's not going to out heal 2 of the temples.
No way.
So that's exactly what we're going to see. We're going to see Falstad probably fly back as soon as his tower is dead. Here he goes. Wait for it. Boom, the fly. Right wing's already started the face up. Look at that. They're timing it out.
Oh, he did it a little bit too
Oh, look
soon.
at it. He just got dumped in the middle of the lane right there. Here, have a skydive out of this flight.
Falstead's actually faster. Chef, you're so slow.
Oh,
He's
jeez.
scared. He's scared.
Just checking around, just checking the bushes. I mean, how can they lose at this point? Just get party
True.
bush. That's right. So if they can just hold control of the shrine, that's gonna be a pickup for Cloud9 Vortex there. The contest.
Well, they
Do they
have
get
to
it?
contest
They
this.
do.
They have all their heroics except for Void Prison at this point in time, and that's kind of a big one to not have because that's
Yeah.
their setup for the Wombo combo. Strafe going down. Roger taking a lot of damage to this Odin, but the Blink kill is keeping him alive. We see the Protective Shield, but we have the Uther player falling. Ravenous Spirit doing some work, but the Hinterland Blast is going to be a response. And look at that. All the time in the world to dodge it, and they're going to do just that. So the
Yeah,
Hinterland Blast is
very
just going to
true.
shoot some grass.
But I mean, the core is down to 86, 85% already.
Falstad
And-
flying up, getting that second tower. So they have the double shrine, and that should be GG.
Yeah, I mean, they can walk away from this one at this point. There's no way they can even get to the top shrine in time to dodge these shots. The mule's really trucking away there. It's just not going to be enough damage. And
trying.
a semi-anticlimactic victory here for Vortex. No flashy battle at the end, I guess, but they're going to slowly chip away at that core. And, oh! that
The
would've been-
mule, you saw it go up, and you were like, no.
I know.
GG here,
But,
so
yeah.
that means game number 3.
We are going to game number 3 in this losers final for Kings of the Storm 5.
Yeah, so last game, Vortex looked pretty rusty.
Mm-hmm.
This game, they had their pep talk, and they were ready
They
for
did.
battle. I mean,
They
they
stepped
had,
it up.
Yeah, they had like an hour break, so they had to shake off that, the dust. They had to shake off the
Stretch
dust.
it out a little bit, get warmed up. But
They looked good.
They looked a lot cleaner that match.
Yeah, they did.
There was a lot of people out of position in the first game, and it's just not what we're used to seeing out of Vortex. They looked
Right.
a lot cleaner when we saw them in winners finals against Tempo Storm. So that game looked pretty good, and that's the Vortex that I'm used to seeing. So
That's the Vortex we know.
yes, and we're gonna have to see Barrel Boys perhaps throw a different strategy at them going into game number 3 here. So, but yeah, we're gonna go to a quick commercial break, and when we return, we'll bring you guys game number 3 of this losers finals.